It is my hope that you are doing well. Welcome to this video where we'll talk about how to determine a key of a given melody. In order for us to achieve that, we need to have a basic knowledge on what a scale is and the different types of scales, more so the major scales with sharps and flats. Key signature is comprised by a number of sharps or flats, and it is placed at the beginning of a musical piece after the clef. Immediately after the clef sign, we have the key signature, represented by number of sharps or flats. Remember, sharps and flats are accidentals. We define what is a scale, and we say that a scale is a graduated series of musical tones, ascending or descending in order of pitch according to a specific scheme of their intervals. We have different types of scale as shown on the screen, but we'll measure on a major scale. As we have said, the others will look at them a bit later. Let's begin with a major scale. This is a scale comprised of the pattern tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. It can be abbreviated as shown on the screen. That is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. A semitone, it is also called half step, and it is any shortest distance between two adjacent keys in a piano. Take for example the piano sketch on the screen. We are saying that a semitone is the shortest distance between two adjacent keys on a piano. Adjacent key, we mean the next immediate key. Say for example, I'm at this key over here. The next immediate key will be this black here. It is the most next to this white key over here. So the distance between this key and this is half step, or what we are referring to as a semitone. From this black key, the next adjacent key is this white over here, and the distance between the black and the white is also a half step or a semitone. The same thing applies to these two keys over here. The distance between this white key and this, it is also a half step because it's the shortest distance between the two keys. A tone is the distance of two semitones joined together. Say for example, I'm at this white key over here, then I decide to move directly to the next white key over here. I will have moved a half step from this point to the black, then from the black to the white key, another half. The composition of the two forms what we are referring to as a tone. A tone is the composition of two semitones joined together. We have three divisions of major scales. Number one, we have a major scale with sharps, major scale with flats, and the natural major scale. A major scale is comprised of 8 notes, but the first and eighth are leading notes. It means they are equal. The only difference is one of them is either an octave higher and the other one lower. Octave means 8. Major scales are built from the natural major scale. And as we said, in music we use the first 7 alphabetical letters That is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Upon reaching G, the sequence begins again with A, and it continues like that. In the case of a piano, we don't actually begin with A. The first key is always C. From the left, the first key is always C. So from the first white key, we name all the successive white keys. So from C, we move to D, E, F, G, A, B, C again, and the chain continues. So the leading note C forms our first major scale, which is called a natural major scale. This scale runs from C to C, and because it is a major scale, the pattern actually remains. It is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. This implies that the interval between C and D, or the distance, it is a tone. From D to E, we have a tone, and the others follows as shown on the screen. To prove this, we have the distance from C to D being a semitone and a semitone. That makes a tone. From D to E, we have a semitone and a semitone. That makes a tone. From E to F, we have only a semitone as the shortest distance. That is a semitone. From F to G, we have a semitone and a semitone. That is a tone. From G to A, we have a semitone and a semitone. That is a tone. From A to B, we have a semitone and a semitone. That is a tone. And from B to C, we have a semitone. So that is the natural major scale. It obeys the rule of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. From the natural major scale, we now derive major scales with sharps. Remember the symbol of a sharp is shown on the screen. This is a symbol of a sharp. So we have some procedures. And number one, divide the initial scale into two equal parts. In our case, our initial scale is the natural major scale, that is scale C, C major. So in dividing, we obtain two equal parts. Each part has 4 elements as shown on the screen. The first 4 are called lower tetrachord, and the other 4 are called upper tetrachord. Tetra means 4. So our next scale begins with the whole of upper tetrachord, that is G, A, B, C. And because it is an octave, we'll end our scale at G, as shown on the screen. And because it is a major scale, we now test our pattern: tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. My scale begins with G. This is the position of G on our piano. So from G to A, I should have a tone, and that is correct. From A to B, I should have a tone, and this one is correct. From B to C, I should have a semitone, and we can see that on the screen. From C to D, I should have a tone, and this one is correct. From D to E, I should have a tone, and this one is correct. From E to F, I should have a tone, but on the screen, as we can see, the distance between E and F is a semitone. So for this distance to be a tone, I will have to add another thing, or rather another semitone. So instead of playing F natural, I will add another half step to F, and I will play this button over here, which will be now called F sharp, as shown on the screen. So the distance between E to F sharp will be now a tone. And then to end our octave, from F sharp to G, I should have a semitone, and that one now is correct. So this one means for scale G to be a complete major scale, I will have to sharpen F as shown on the screen. So the pattern now is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So from scale C major, which doesn't have any tones or rather sharps and flats, we go to scale number 2, which follows immediately. It has one sharp, and that is the scale of G. It will be called G major, and it has one sharp, that is F sharp. We now obtain the third scale, and now our initial scale becomes the scale G major. So as usual, we divide the scale into two equal parts. So we obtain the lower tetrachord and upper tetrachord. And the scale 3 will begin with the whole of upper tetrachord, which is D, E, F sharp. Notice that we have already sharpened F to be F sharp. So in the upper tetrachord, we'll pick the way it is. That's why it is appearing here. And because a major scale is an octave, our scale will end at D. And because it is a major scale, we now test our pattern: tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. My leading note is D or key, and we have the interval between D and E being a tone, which is correct. The interval between E and F sharp is 2 semitones, which makes up a tone, which is correct. The interval between F sharp and G is a half step or a semitone, which is correct. The interval between G and A is a tone, which is correct. The interval between A and B is a tone, which is correct. But the interval between B and C is a semitone, and we need to have a tone. So for it to be a tone, we need to add a semitone. So while playing, we'll not necessarily play C. So we'll add a half step, and we'll now play a step higher, which is C sharp. So for my pattern to hold in scale D, I will have to sharpen C, so that the distance between B and C sharp will be a tone. From C sharp to D, I have a semitone which holds. So in my scale D, I have sharpened C, and that one forms the next major scale, which is D major scale. And in this case, we have sharpened C. So the next sharp is C sharp. Remember, we are also obtaining the order of sharps. The first sharp is F sharp, followed by C sharp. And the scale, the first scale is C major scale, followed by G major, then D major. Let's obtain the next scale following the same procedure or criteria. So after dividing the initial into two equal parts, where in our case our initial now was D scale or scale D, and the upper tetrachord begins with A, B, C sharp, D, then followed by E, F sharp because we have already sharpened F in the previous scales. We sharpened F in scale G, so F remains sharpened in all other succeeding scales. That's why we have F sharp in the scale of A. Test our pattern and we'll find that the note or key which needs to be sharpened will be G. So for our scale to be major, we'll have to sharpen G. Test that on our piano to confirm whether it is true. So A forms the next major scale. It has 3 sharps and it is called A major, with the next sharp being G sharp. The other scales follow as shown on the screen. We have scale number 5, which is E major. We have sharpened D. Scale number 6, we have B major. We have sharpened A. Scale number 7, we have F sharp major. We have sharpened E. And scale number 8, we have C sharp major. Notice that we always sharpen the 7th degree in order to obtain a major scale. So the order of major scales with sharps will be as shown on the screen. Remember that the first C is a natural major scale and it has no sharps. The next scale is G. It has 1 sharp, that is F sharp. The scale of D, the next one, it has 2 sharps, that is F sharp and C sharp. The scale A, it has 3 sharps, that is F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. The other major scales follow as shown on the screen. This is the order of the scales, then the order of the sharps. So when we hear a musical piece is in key A, on the score we will see 3 sharps, that is A major. It will be indicated by 3 sharps. If for example a piece is in key B major, it will be indicated with 5 sharps. If it is key D, the key signature will be represented by 2 sharps. If it is in key C major, we won't see any sharp or flat for the key signature. That is all about order of major scales with sharps. You can come up with some mnemonics so as not to forget the order of major scales with sharps. The order is Charles, go down and enter by force completely. Charles for C, we have no sharps. Go for G, it has 1 sharp. Down for D, it has 2 sharps, etc., etc. We now see order of major scales with flats, and we can say that this is the opposite of the order of major scales with sharps. So for the flats, we'll count from, instead of having C sharp, we'll have C major, of course, followed by F flat major going upwards. So the order will be as shown on the screen. We have the first C, which represents C natural major scale. It has no flats nor sharps. Then we'll follow by F. It will be represented by 1 flat, and that flat will be B flat. Notice that for the flats, we reverse the order of sharps. and the order of sharps was F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, B sharp. So for the flats, we begin with the first flat as B flat. Key B flat major will be represented by two flats, and those flats are B and E. Take a look, the order of flats is reversing. We were at B, now we are at E. The next scale will be E flat major. The representation will be three flats, and those flats are B, E, and A. The other scales follow as shown on the screen with their key signature represented. We have for A flat major, the representation is 4 flats. D flat major, we have 5 flats. G flat major, we have 6 flats. And of course, C flat major, we have 7 flats. We can also come with some mnemonics and say flats become easy after doing good cramming. Of course, the first C, we have held it constant. We know we don't have any flat in C natural major scale. So flats will stand for key F flat. Remember, we have F sharp major as we have seen in the previous. For this F, which has one flat, that is B, it is also known as F major. It is only the major scale, or it is the only major scale which has flat. So the representation will be one flat and others follows as shown on the screen. So when we hear a musical piece is in key A flat, we now know that the representation of key A flat will be 4 flats on the score. If it is in B flat, we will have 2 flats. If it is D flat, we will see 5 flats. For the example on the screen, we'll have our key signature represented by 2 flats, and this, of course, it is key B flat. Remember the order, 2 flats is E, B, 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 B flat. Thank you so much for watching. Let's meet in the next video. We play some of the scales. Thank you.